Hey amazing people, welcome to my channel. If you're new to my channel, you are welcome. My name is Julia Rag, and if you're my returning subscriber, you are welcome. Guys, today I'm going to be showing you how I recreate this dress. I asked you guys a question and this is what you choose for your next tutorial, and I'm glad I was able to let you guys make this choice. So we're going to begin. Okay, I'm going to divide this tutorial into two sections. Section 1 is this pattern drafting. The section 2 is going to be cutting and sewing. Okay, so I've already drafted my shoulder line already on my pattern paper. So the next I'm going to be imputing my half of my shoulder measurement, which is 7 inches. Okay, my shoulder is 14 divided by 2 is 7 inches. Okay, so from my shoulder to my bust line is 9.5 inches. Okay, so here is my 9.5 inches. I'm going to repeat this measurement twice to have accurate line. So the next, from my shoulder to my half length. So initially my half length is 17 inches. So I minus 2 inches from that 17. So I have 15 inches. So that is why I'm marking 15 inches. So you may be wondering why I'm marking 15 inches is because there is a waistband on this dress. Okay, so right here I'm taking my neck width of 3 inches and then my shoulder slope of 1 inches. Okay, so I'm going to connect this two dot now, okay, to create my shoulder line. Okay, so this is my shoulder. So the next thing, I'm going to work on my armhole. You divide your round bust circumference by 6 plus 1.5. Mine is 7 inches, and that is where I mark that 7 inches there. To have accurate line, I'm going to take the full measurement from my shoulder to my chest line, which is 8 inches. And to get the accurate line, also I mark 1.5 inch upward from my bust line to my chest line, and I'm going to connect this line like so. So I'm going to impute my half of my shoulder measurement on my chest line to have accurate line so that I can connect it to meet with my shoulder line. Okay, so that is what I'm doing right now. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to impute half of my quarter of my round bust circumference, which is 8.5. My bust is 34 divided by 4 is 8.5. Okay, so from my, to get my armhole line, the midpoint, I divide divide the armhole line by 2, give me 3.5, and then I mark 0.5 inch inward like you see me doing, and then I'm going to connect it from that point, place my pattern, my French curve ruler like so, and then I'm going to connect it. So just pay attention and see what I'm doing. Okay, so once I'm done connecting it, the next thing that I'm going to be working on my bust span. Okay, my bust span measurement is 3.5, but for here I mark 4 inches, but I later reduced it to my actual bust span, because if you're working on this, just use your actual bust span measurement. Okay, so while I'm done, I use a fence line here because don't really need this line. Okay, there's not that there won't be that on this part. That is why I use a fence line. Okay, so now this is the main part. Okay, this is the major part for this dress, that the part where that ruche is going to be. Okay, so from your shoulder line, you're going to minus 3.5. I made a mistake. I minus 3 inches, but at the end of the day, when I put it on, it was too my chest was too revealing because I'm a mother, so my chest is not that full fill up enough to fit into the dress. Okay, so if you are the same situation with me, you are going to be taking 3.5 inches. Okay, so from that 3.5 inches mark that you're going to mark, you're going to place your French curve ruler or your ruler. Just place it the way you see me doing now. Okay, now not the ones I was contemplating, either I should use a curve or no, use a straight line. Okay, just take it all the way from your waistline. Okay, take it all the way from your waistline or from the shoulder to your waistline, just like you see me doing. Okay, and that is the front pattern. So we are working on the front pattern. Okay, from this part where I mark, I place my marker, or I dot that part. Okay, you're going to connect it from the shoulder. So my actual bust span is 3.5, like I said earlier. So I was contemplating, because this dress, I haven't made it, so this is my first try. I know I'm going to do much better when I'm going to recreate it again. Okay, so from here, I'm still also going to go with the fence line to be sure of what I'm doing. Okay, I use a fence line here. As you can see, the line is not bold, but I want to be sure before I go ahead with the bold line. But at the end of the day, like I said, I reduce it from that 4 inches back to my normal line. Okay, so this is where you're going to cut out. Okay, you're going to cut this part out, and that is where we're going to fix our ruffle on. So once you create this line, okay, and then you're going to connect it. So mine, like I said, I was still contemplating on it, so I wasn't sure. So this is the part where your ruffle is going to pass through from this edge of the shoulder. Okay, so when you're going to cut it out on your fabric, make sure you add your joining allowance. Okay, so now I'm going to connect it now with the both line so that you see. But then again, I'm going to come back inward with 0.5 inch. So that means the total weight I took from here is my actual bust span measurement, which is 3.5 inches, not 4 inches. Okay, if you do that, you're going to have it more, the that ruffle is going to go out too much. Okay, so this other line in outside is not usable, but the bold line is what you're going to work with. Okay, so once I'm done from here, then I'm going to impute my waist, my round waist circumference, which is 28 divided by 4 is 7 inches, and that is where I'm marking the 7 inches there. Okay, so I'm going to be adding a 1.5 inch for joining allowance. So no, for sewing allowance rather, because the dress, it doesn't need that, because when this part where we mark from here is going to it is going to comply with the that. Okay, so once I'm done, I'm going to connect those line from my waistline to meet to my but my chest line. Okay, basically this is it. So I'm labeling this part, sewing allowance, and also to mark that 1.5 that I know that is 1.5 I took there for my joining allowance. Okay, then from the hemming part, I'm going to add 0.5 inch. Remember, the dress has band. Okay, it has a waistband, so you need to add 0.5 inch to join it back to your waistband, and then you add 0.5 inch all round because of your armhole part. Okay, this part, you know, you're still going to cut it out because you need to keep allowances so that you join your lining to your dress. Okay, so and also I gone ahead to add 0.5 inch all the way from this part that you see me working on. Okay, then this part where I did not add the joining allowance, I indicated that add 0.5 inch so that when I'm going to cut it on my fabric, I will know that I need to add that to there. Okay, so once I'm done, I'm going to work on the back pattern. I've already gone ahead to put the basic line, which is the shoulder to my chest line, and from my chest line to my waistline. Okay, so there is nothing serious. It's almost the same thing like the front. The only difference is that there is no bust line on the back. Okay, so my neck depth for my back is 1 inch. Okay, but 3.5 3 inches is still the same. The neck width, just the same thing like the front. Okay, so I'm going to mark uh 3 inches for my neck width and 1 inch for my neck depth, and then I'm going to connect it like that. Okay, so basically this is it. So the next thing, I'm going to impute my half of my shoulder measurement here so that I can have a straight line to connect to the shoulder line. Okay, it's like I said, the same process I did for the front. That is the same thing I did here. Okay, there's nothing different. So The only difference there is the neckline and the bust line. Okay, there is no bust line there, and the waist neckline is different. Okay, so I'm dividing my armhole line here into two, and also I went in by 0.5 inch and then I connected. So I'm going to impute my my bust measurement, which is 8.5. Okay, so that I can connect my armhole, and also I add 1.5 inch for joining allowance, because we need this 1.5 inches to we need 0.5 inch to turn your lining, turn your main piece with your lining. Okay, then the remaining 1 inch you use it for stitching allowance. Okay, and once I'm done and then I did that connection there, then I'm going to also work on my dart. Okay, I'm going to impute my dart here also, the same that width that I use, which is 3.5 inches. That is the same thing I impute here. Okay, and then I'm going to connect from that point to my shoulder line, just the way I did for the front. Okay, so the next I'm going to be working on my zipper allowance. Okay, if you want to eliminate zip, okay, before we go to the zip, I need to impute my round waist circumference divided by 4, and then plus 1.5 inch joining allowance, and then I'm connecting it. Okay, so now we move on to the zipper allowance. From the waist, I'm going to be marking 1 inch. Okay, 1 inch from the waist, and then from the neckline I'm taking 1.5 inches. So the reason of 1.5 inches is because if you want to eliminate the zipper bulge from the back of your dress, or the zipper bulge from the waistline, you're taking 1 inch, from the neckline you're taking 1.5. But when you're going to fix your zip, you're going to still take that 1 inch, because you're using I'm using 0.5 to join the lining to the main piece. So when I'm done, I still have to take that same 1 inch so that it will eliminate the zipper bulge. So the same thing I did for the front, it's the same thing I'm doing for the back. I add all my joining allowance, and this is it. So I'm going to start by cutting out all my pieces now, so I can have my pattern ready to cut out on my fabric. Okay, so I hope the explanation was okay. I hope you understand my explanation. If anything that you find it confusing on recreating this pattern, please leave your comment below, or you can click on the link on my community post to chat me up direct on my Instagram account. Okay, so this is my front and my back pattern. So the next we are going to work on the skirt pattern. Okay, so this is my pattern. I also draw out my allowances by the side and then the waistline. So I'm going to be imputing from my waistline to my hip line, which is 8 inches. Okay, that is what I'm doing. I've already done a tutorial on a skirt, but I still just want to just run around it a bit for you to understand what is because there is a little bit alteration on this one. Okay, so my half length is 15 inches. So for me to know the total length I need to cut out for my skirt, okay, I'm going to place my 15 inches from that waistline. Okay, that is what I'm doing. I placed the 15 inches from there, and then I took the measurement all the way to the down. And also remember, we have 2 inches waistband. Okay, so that 2 inches waistband is there. So the total dress length I want here is 35 inches. Okay, it's going to be 37 inches at the end of the day because of the waistband. Okay, so once I'm done imputing my vertical measurement, I'm going to work on the horizontal measurement. My waist measurement is 28 plus 1 inch dart intake. Okay, I'm going to be adding that to this dress, so I'm adding 1 inch for my dart. Then move on to my hip line. My hip is 39, approximately to 40, so I'm marking 10 inches here. Okay, so move on to my hemming the bottom part of my skirt. Okay, I have 10 inches here, but I'm going to minus 1 inch from this part here, from the hemming part, so I'm marking 9 inches here. Okay, so bear this in mind that if you're working with a stretchable material, you don't need so much allowance. Okay, so once I'm done, I'm going to connect this. So this is the front pattern. So the same that front, I'm still going to use it to create my back pattern. But for here, I divide the waistline into two to create my dart. Okay, so my dart's length is 4.5 inches. Okay, so now before I work for the dart, I need to extend this line out because we're going to work on the back pattern. Okay, so I have extended this line out. So the next thing now, I'm going to impute my zip allowance. So this is the only difference in between the back. So my zip allowance, I took 1 inch for the waist and 1.5 inch for the hip line. I thought I'm going to use lining, but later on I changed my mind. I did not use the lining. Okay, so what I did at the end of the day, I reduced the zip allowance, which I added 1 inch. I reduced it, and from here I was actually working on the slit. Okay, I thought I'm going to add slit. I forgot that I was working with a stretchable material. So if you're working with non-stretchable material, you need to add a slit to your dress. Okay, so I mark 1 inch from this part where you see, and I connect it to meet to my hip line where I mark my 1.5 inches. Okay, so the remaining one is for the slit. But later on, I took out that 1 inch, so it's 2 inches allowance for the slit. But I later took out 1 inch from the waist. Hip line is 1.5, and from the waist is 1 inch. But I later took out 0.5 inch from the waist and 0.5 inch from the hip line, and then I take the remaining 1 inch all the way down. Okay, so that is what I did. So the next thing, I'm going to mark 0.5 inch on both sides for my dart. Okay, this is my dart inch. Remember, I added 1 inch for my dart allowance, right? So I'm taking this dart allowance from here. So when I'm going to sew on my fabric, I'm going to close this down with 0.5 inch on both sides. Okay, so once I'm done, I'm going to add my joining allowance to my waistline, because we need this 0.5 inch so that we can use it to join our waistband to a half length of join with the half bodies. I don't know if you understand. So once I'm done here, I'm adding my stitching allowance, which is 1 inch. Like I said, at first I added 1.5, but I later reduced I reduce 0.5 away from me because I'm not using lining on the skirt. It's only the top part that I needed lining on, because the reason why we need lining on the top part is because of those the cutting from the shoulder, and also this, it doesn't have a sleeve. Okay, so it's a sleeveless dress, so you definitely need lining to turn in your dress. So I have done add my stitching allowance by the side. So the next thing, I'm going to connect my waist allowance also. Okay, so yeah, that is what I'm doing. Once I'm done, I'm going to be cutting it out. So like I said, while I was working on it, I later changed my mind, and then I minus the allowances, the excess I added. So from the hemming part, I'm using 1 inch. It's 1 inch I'm going to use to fold in the hemming allowance. Okay, 1 inch hemming allowance from the bottom part. Okay, so that is basically it. Like I said, I minus 0.5 inch from the side because I was not going to use a lining. Okay, so that is why I reduced it back to 1 inch. All right, so don't do my mistake. If you're working with a stretchable material, use 1 inch for joining allowance. But if you're using non-stretch, yes, you can keep your 1.5 inch so that you can use lining to turn your dress out. Okay, so once I'm done, I'm going to start by cutting these unwanted parts. I hope you find this tutorial helpful, and if you do, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and if you're yet to join the family, kindly subscribe, and don't forget to turn on your post notification for you to get notified whenever I'm going to drop another tutorial. Okay, So what I'm doing here, I'm trying to fold in my dart. Okay, the dart part, I'm folding it in before I cut it out, so that I will not have one side that is shorter or one side is lower, I mean. Okay, so yeah, so you're going to fold your dart inward just the way you see me doing. Then you're going to correct the line, blend the line so that it will balance together. Okay, so once you're satisfied with that, then you cut out all the excess. You're only cutting at the back, not the front. Okay, because we are making use of the back pattern and the front pattern together. Alright guys, so we are coming to the end of this tutorial. So I want to say a very big thank you for watching, and don't forget to turn on your post notification if you're yet to do so. And if you're yet to subscribe to my channel, please kindly subscribe and turn on your post notification, so that you will not miss out the sewing tutorial. Okay, the sewing tutorial is going to drop immediately, this very one. Okay, so I will be seeing you on the sewing tutorial. So this is half of it, so stay tuned.